Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Doppler'S Gear Garage. I hope you're doing great. Let me do a little salutation here. First of all, Jerry, always a pleasure, my dear friend. How goes it? Welcome, 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 Captain Scarlet. Okie dokie. All right, first of all, in case we haven't met, my name is Doug, and this is Doppler'S Gear Garage. This is what I affectionately call my Beato board, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of writing on that today. And what we're going to be covering today is some things that are near and dear to my heart. First of all, last week, one of the things we jumped in talking about was this little rig that I put together that I was utilizing during the NAMM show. And what it allowed me to do was have a very easy, simple, straightforward rig that I could put together. Literally, I could set it up in 5 minutes or less. And so what I wanted to do today, there was one little piece that I wasn't able to quite configure yet, but I'm going to be able to do it on the fly. So here's the deal. One of the things that I like to be able to do when I'm kind of on the top of my game is I can actually just be able to have something that's taped on top of the amplifier. Let's get this list here. There we go. That is set up like this, that I can see from the top of the amplifier like this. Come on, drag and drop there. There we go. Come on, you got this. Here we go. All right, there we go. So that right there allows me from the back of the amplifier on the dark stage there, the S and R represent the send and return. Let's see, I think I can do a little bit of, there we go, hey. So on the back of a dark stage, I can kind of take a look down there, and the S and R reflect the send and return of the effects loop. Then what you've got there is reverb 2 and reverb 1, in case I want to be able to reach down in the middle of the show and kind of know which of those two reverb controls is which. Then I've got my ohm selector, my 4, 4, and 8. So kind of the live version of this particular rig utilized two of these vertical rectifier cabinets. So in which case, since they're 8 ohm cabinets, I wanted to use the two 4 ohm outputs. But if I'm just using one, I want to be able to use the 8 ohm output. Now, one of the things I could do would be to flip this whole thing upside down, that piece of tape there, and rewrite it such that I can see it from the front of the stage. But the idea is either way it's going to work. And what's neat about it is it means that on a dark stage where you can't necessarily see all of that business down there, you actually know what's what, and you don't plug the wrong thing into the wrong place. All right, let's get rid of that. First of all, Kevin, good morning. Great to see you. Hello, hello. Chris, hello, hello, hello. So first and foremost, I want to talk a little bit about getting your vibe going. Also, I'm using a slightly different setup today with the microphone and this camera angle. My tendency is to use the, wait for it, A camera, but in the midst of kind of prepping this morning, going to get set up on the B camera because we're going to be using the clipboard. We're going to spend some time maybe on this angle. I'm going to try and decide which I like best. But for the time being, we're going to hang out on what I affectionately refer to as the B cam. All right, so the deal is, as I'm kind of trying to get a vibe going, one of the things that I'm looking for is a range of different characteristics from the amp. One is, am I able to get kind of the singing notes? All right, that's working for me. Now, what happens, one of the things I love to be able to do is play with my fingers, and I get kind of this, if you will, chicken squawk. And in the midst of that is also something that I kind of refer to as the guitar harmonica. And so that's kind of a combination of doing a little bit, if you will, the Keith Richards thing where you're kind of picking on the neck, but there's also some false harmonics that are happening there, if you will, pinch harmonic. One of the other things that when I need to get that little guy going, I don't even know what I call that. But that palm muting single string alternate picking guy is important. The other thing is, as I'm down on the bass strings, making sure that it's meaty but not tubby. And as I'm at the top of that, it's singing like in the same way that I was looking for that, but at the top of the neck, things can thin out. So that is to say, if I'm looking for the range of extremes, I'm wanting it not to be tubby down here. And one of the neat things is what I did there was I backed off on the volume control all the way up. Backed it off. And there it's got enough definition without it being boaty. And then up here. So collectively, you know, no amp, if I'm really brutally honest, allows you to do all the things exactly the way you want them to. But this little amp right here does a really great job for me. The other thing is, if I happen to flip the switch, oops, hold on. Where is my channel selector? There we go. Hold on. No, hold on. There we go. There's my... Oh, okay, hold on. Wait. There we go. There's my clean channel. I can just turn my delay off there. Now I can reach over here. I've got my R2 right there, so I know that's my reverb for my clean channel. Sorry, I want R1. And since it's labeled, bring it up a little bit. Now, the thing about the way I've got the clean channel set up right now, I'm going to bring the master down up down a little bit and bring the gain up. And what that's going to do is going to give me a little bit. Give me a little less clean and a little bit more breakup. And that way it's just not quite as, dare I say, frigid. I'm going to bring the master down just a little bit for levels. That's the number 5 pickup selection. Here's the number 4. I'm going to bring up the delay now. I'm going to bring that volume down just a little tiny bit on the delay. That's the mix right there. And there I'm listening for, if you listen, the delay's just kind of hanging out there in the background with the reverb. Totally, I'm looking for that little bit of spank on the top end, but enough body in the bottom end. Again, we're listening for, is there tubbiness? And is it shrill on the top end, and kind of that, if you will, it's kind of bringing all those, if you will, colors into focus. All right, so with that said, let me just take a quick moment. I'm going to switch over to the A cam for a moment, and let's see how we do here. All right, first of all, Adam, hello. Francesco, good morning. 6 p.m. in Rome. With great pleasure, welcome, my dear friend. Hello, hello, hello. Great to see you. Braden, hello. Oh, Brad. And excuse me. I thought we had Braden there for a second. Brad, hello, my dear friend. All right. You are very kind. And you know what? I don't care who the heck you are. Encouragement is always great because, gosh darn it, we all need a little topping off on the tank. Thank you all. All right. So said board here is one of the things we're going to be focusing on today. And I'm really excited about kind of the theoretical side of what we're going to be going over because I think it's going to be really helpful for a huge number of people. Getting back to the gear side. So one of the things that, because it's Doppler's Gear Garage, I always want to have some little thing that we kick it off, such at the beginning of the quote-unquote episode, there's some gear talk. So in this particular instance, again, now, this is one of the other things about a piece of gear that is valuable. You will usually find some things that work really well for your workflow. And in particular, I want to call out a couple of things about this rig that I really love. And a couple of things that I did not get a chance to tend to today. Hello, metal head knitting. Oh, knitting, what's going on, my man? Not very metal, but hello, my friend. Okay, so here's the deal. There are a couple of things that when we work with amps that a bunch of you will know and a bunch of you may not know. Headroom is one of the most important things as I kind of think about all these amps that are here in the background that I've probably learned the most about gear with in the past year. And as I move back over to my dirty channel, here we go. Now, the interesting thing is I went back and was looking at the amp as I was kind of setting up for today that I was thinking about. I looked over at the amp, and there is a mode selection there for whether the amp can run at 25 watts or 10 watts. And so the crazy thing is even kind of the little mini show I did down at NAMM, the amp was set at 10 watts. But 10 watts does not necessarily mean, it's a little practice amp. Loud or practice amp quiet, shockingly loud. What it does is it reduces your headroom. And so it means that as you play distorted sound, it's going to be more distorted earlier in the onset of volume. But depending on how you have the gain set, and here I've got it set pretty high. The onset and the way the notes have a tendency to be less clear, which is ironic because we're distorting the notes, but how, when we shape that distortion, do we want it to have a certain amount of warmth where it's still extra loosey-goosey, and the end result is it ends up being a little bit more compressed because to bring the amp up to volume, it's less and less efficient because you have less watts to work with. That is, if you're running it at 25 watts and you bring it up to volume, then you run it down to 10 watts and you bring that up to volume, the amp is going to be behaving less efficiently. And in the process of that, it gets a little creamier. If you're not careful and you're playing with the wrong amp, it can just go to mud. So you want to be careful of watching where your gain control is set. However, one of the things when I kind of came down here on Monday of this week, because per one of Chris Alexander's questions last week, it's kind of like, how do you go about establishing your, if you will, 2026 practice regime? What is it that you do and how do you go about doing it? And one of the things that I've been doing pretty much every day as I start out upstairs in the bedroom for an hour or two, just trying to work on some things that I'm trying to correct or improve with my right hand, such that regardless of speed and strings, the main types of sequencing things that I do across the neck or on pairs of strings, I'm able to do them at whatever speed I want to with the control that I want to without running into some of the walls I'm running into. So it just means it's chipping away on that every day. But then on Monday I came down here and I kind of sat down. I was like, well, let me find my sound, right? So one of the things I want to encourage each of you to do is kind of go, what is the vibe that you're really going for? And, you know, we may or may not have our amp set in a perfect way for doing that, but I just kind of came over here and I just went, well, let me twist the knobs. Such that when I bring the volume control down, it wasn't until I looked over the amp, I'm like, oh snap, I'm running at the 10-watt mode. However, that lack of headroom, that's the number 2 position, number 3. Number 4. Number 5. All those different positions translate with different levels of the... of the volume control. And those are all the flavors that I'm going for. So I would encourage you to make not only maybe a mental list, but actually write down, these are the things that I'm trying to get my amp to do across the different pickup selections with one sound. And what do I need to do to dial that in? All right, let me just take a quick moment and say, Matt King, good morning, my dear friend. Oh, wait, hang on a second. So Matt, I'm pretty sure, has a giant Dunkin' Donuts in front of him. So I guess it is that time to, gosh darn it, raise them up. So let me know what you're drinking in the chat. Say hello, what city you're coming from. My favorite coffee cup, but first coffee. Got a little pizza and some muscle milk going. Let me know what it is that you're drinking and where it is that you're coming from. All right, Peter Davida, good morning, my dear friend, coming from Canada. Great to see you. All right, we got a comment here. Can you show some good exercises for more beginner as far as someone wanting to be able to sync and play faster parts? Oh, I love this. I've been playing for many years, but speed escapes me on some run patterns. So first of all, what a great question. The answer is yes. And Matt is, of course, drinking said Dunkin' Donuts. Michael Brock, there you go. Good morning. Great to see you. Hello. I've missed you, and I love that photo. So first and foremost, one of the things we're going to be working on today, I'm going to tie these things in together. All right. For now, we're done with this. One of the things that I didn't get a chance to do that I'll probably have incorporated next week, this delay here, and I'll probably take some shots at the front and the back, has the ability to run at line level or instrument level. It's actually an old delay, but it's extremely sophisticated. It is an eventide time factor. And one of the things that I was going to do was hook up Sonia's multi-axis expression pedal. And so the neat thing is it was going to allow me to, and what I love about the Fulcrum is it, for me, I look at it as kind of like a mouse that you can put on your desktop. One of the things about this rig is that basically I'm just coming in straight from the cable straight into the front of the amp. And I love to be able to play with a setup where it's just kind of me and the amp, and that conversation you have with you literally and the front end of the amplifier with nothing in between. There's an intimacy that you can hear, more importantly, you can feel in your right hand. So I'm going to set up a couple more things on this, but I'm kind of building on the theme. With that said, Danny, what's going on at the gym? There we go, drinking some pre-workout and lifting heavy weights. Come on, not as heavy as the mental music exercise we do here. I love that, and you, my dear friend. All right, so getting to the teaching side of things, what we're going to do is we're going to be focusing on the key of C major. Now, my handy dandy pens are right here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take, I think we're going to take black is where we're going to start. And so conceptually what we want to be doing, there we go, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And basically, that's a crappy looking little B there. If we took that C major scale and we started here, We'd have C. That's where I need my other color. Hang on. So we're going to use red for our circle, and that's going to indicate a whole step, and the plus equals a half step. That's a whole step, whole step, whole step. Oh, I needed my C there. Hang on. All right. First redo of the day. That's okay. Let's try this one more time. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the DNA of the C major scale in terms of the note names. And we're going to turn that into, let me tell you what we're going to do real quick. We're going to take that. That is the C major scale that I can play. Like that. Or I can go. Sorry, like, you want to double that? There we go. So then what we're going to do is instead of playing C major, we're going to play D Dorian. And it's going to be taking the same notes. We're starting at D. Then we're going to take E Phrygian. And then we're going to be going to F Lydian. But we're playing the same 7 notes, but starting sequentially off of them. So it's going to allow us to be able to look at the neck very differently, but there's some great speed and technique and string changing exercise that we're going to build into that. So let me start with red pen. And wherever I put down the black pen, lesson number 1. So the interesting thing is that every week there's some little technical glitch that happens. This morning, Facebook didn't want to connect. Unfortunately, I had enough time before the show started to kind of figure that bit out. But this time what I learned is don't just toss your black pen because you might need it again. And I have no idea where it is, so we're going to go with brown. So what we got is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to use some different characters. We're going to go W for whole, whole, half, whole, 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 and half. And what that's going to enable us to be able to do is to be able to just think of, as we're starting at C there at the first fret on the 2nd string, that's going to be C, C, hold a D, hold a E, half to F. Hold on, there we go. All right, let's switch over to this camera and see if I can do this. There we go. There we go. Thanks, Brad, for your input last week. Brad commented that I was obstructing said what I affectionately refer to as the Beato board with my guitar neck. So let's see if we can do that without any glare. There we go. So what we've got is C, hold a D, hold a E, half to F, hold a G, hold a A, hold a B, half to C. C, half to B, hold a A, hold a G, hold a F, half to E, hold a D, hold a C. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a radically different approach to the modes than we've done before. Now, I believe I still have this graphic up from last week. There we go. So what we're doing is we're looking at the C major scale there. That's played at the 8th fret on the low E string, and it's looking at the major scale fingering there instead of thinking about it as the finger numbers, which is what we normally would do, or the shape. We're actually going, hey, that's a C, D, E. Hang on, I need to adjust my volume here. There we go. I'm going to think of that as a C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, F, G, A, or sorry, E, F, G. Sorry, that's B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And collectively, in fact, let me pull that puppy back up there. All right, so let me start off with question number 1, because I want to walk through this real quick. Oh, Carlos, good morning, my dear friend. Awesome Central Valley, come on. There we go. All right, so Fishman, so this is for you, my friend. So the deal is, if we took that fingering there, and again, we've got our chalk, our board here, there. Oh, that's not going to work at all. Okay, we're going to need to, well, we'll figure this out in a moment. So just imagine you can see all of that right there. While looking at that right there. So basically, what we've got is that on that low E string, you can see that C, hold the D, hold the E. And on the A string, you've got that F, hold the G, hold the A. And on that fourth string, you got B, half to C, hold the D. And on the third string, you got E, half to F, hold the G. You got A, hold the B, half to C, and D, hold the E, half to F. All right, let me get rid of this little bit of business. No, I'm going to leave that up for a minute, and I'm going to scoot over here. Excuse me while I'm figuring out my geographical orientation. I am going to block the board there. But if you were to take that bit of business and take those, and again, you're thinking of that as C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, E, F, G, D, E, F, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, E, D. Sorry, let me try that thing in English. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, F, E, D. I'm looking at the wrong camera. F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. So that's literally kind of going, hey, that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Literally thinking about that as notes, but then what we're going to do is we can also think of that as a shape. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pair strings. So basically we're taking, if you will, looking at that shape, gosh, I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. On the bottom two strings, if you look at the lowest note on the lowest string, the sixth string, that's a C. And the upper note on the fifth string, that's going to be an A. So we're literally going from this C to that A as a pair of strings. And we're just going to go up and down. And then you can do the same thing for the F, if you will, through the D on there. Same thing for the B through the G. So that's just up 6 and down 6. So we're just... And there I can do a little sequence there. And these are, if you think about this 6 notes, we can think about that as a range of 6 notes. And we're going to do what I'm going to refer to as nesting sequences. That is to say, going up is one sequence. Going down is another sequence. So our nested sequences are going to have us go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up. And that sets us up. That last up, up sets us up to do the same thing, starting from is how we ended up. That is, say we ended up going the C through the A. The next sequence is going to cut and paste that up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up, ranging from the D, sorry, that F through that D. So again, that was up, down, 3 times, and then up, up. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up. And that's, we're then going to cut and paste on the 4th and 3rd string. Then we're going to reverse that. Sorry. That finishes, and you're ready to start the whole thing again. So that sequence on the way up was up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up. Collectively, that's... Then you take that until you're on the 2nd and 1st string, and then we're going to be playing again that A, B, C, and D, E, F. All right, then we're going to flip that around. All right, so collectively for you, my friend, what it enables us to work on is a way of, first of all, being able to think about the note names, which is kind of the main focal point we're focusing on here. But we're playing a couple of different types of sequences that are going to get used to you used to using some different picking motions. That is to say, we're going up and down. That's 6 up and 6 down. And you can just loop those. And those are great on their own, but the idea of switching gears is really cool. So the up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up. So you can think of it as 4 sequences that we're nesting into that range of 6 notes. So up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up. And each of those sequences is basically made up of 6 notes. No, 12 notes. Up, down, up 6, down 6. 6 and 6 is 12 last time I checked. All right, then we do that basically 3 times. One more time. Instead of going, we're going to go. And what that helps is create what I refer to as a waterfall motion as we move into the next group of 6 notes. That is to say, because we went, instead of going down there, we went, and that propels us to go like that. All right, now the deal is you practice it slowly. So on and so forth. And again, when you end up at the top, you're going to go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up. 2, 3, up, up. Flip direction, down, up, third time, down, up, down, up. And you just do that on each one of these. Now, one of the things I would suggest doing, especially on that 3rd and 2nd string, so I'm going to call out some of my fellow guitar players. One of the things that we do when we get to this bit, we kind of wimp out on working on that 3rd and 2nd string sequence because it's a flippin' pain in the butt. So if we look at the diagram to my, whatever, I guess it's going to be on your left, my right, or whatever the heck that is, we've got basically this little sequence here that is going E, F, G, and A, B, C. One of the things I would strongly see us doing is actually sing that as the note names, E, F, G. That way you're able to go, all right, that's E, F, G, got it. And A, B, C. And there I'm doing a sequence there that's similar to what I was doing before. You can just hang out on each string. So that's up, down, up, down, up, 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 down. That's kind of like my favorite sequence in the world. I love the way it sounds and feels. Just loop that. And you can then just move that up. But it's not a great sequence for switching from strings to strings, string to string, which is why I changed it up a minute ago. That is to say, if we go up, down, up, down, up, 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 down, we will have finished going and going from there to there on that string transition. While it's melodically very nice and reminiscent of something, it is not necessarily the best motion builder. So the idea is that if you're looking for just a starting place with these, just go up in pairs of strings. That is, say, we're going 6th, 5th, 5th, 4th, 4th, 3rd, 3rd, 2nd, 2nd, 1st, 1st, 2nd, 2nd, 3rd, 3rd, 4th, 4th, 5th, 5th, 6th. And you might want to just hang out on each one of those. In fact, that's one of the things I would strongly suggest doing, because one of the things that I've been discovering as I'm working on my own technique, the bottom 2 strings are not quite as easy for me to get as the top strings. They're a little thinner, they're a little easier to manage. So hanging out on just the bottom strings so on and so forth. I moved to the key of G accidentally because of muscle memory. All right, so all that to say, let me just check in real quick on the chat here. All right, Mike Rand, good morning, my dear friend. Bad cable was okay. We talked about it. There we go. The bad cable. Come on. Okay. So hang on. Let me switch out of here. So note to you. Switch to this camera here. There we go. All right. So Mike Rand, my dear old friend, was at the Nuno Betancourt camp. We're going to hit the pause button. We're going to come back to this modal string pairing thing, but I want to talk about this real quick. Mike has this setup, this very cool, complex setup where he kind of blends a PA and his rig and his DAW. And he was having this very strange thing happening where when he was doing something that was supposed to be in stereo and getting all this beautiful stereo depth of field, something very strange was happening. And so I said, I believe one of the things I said was, first of all, go in and test all these different things and also test for cables. And if I didn't specifically say it at the top of the list, if you ever have anything weird going on, double check all your cables. That means that basically one by one, find a great cable that you're not using and swap it out with every single one of the cables that's in your signal chain. And that's a great way to debug your potential problems. All right, jumping back here. Speed Wagner. Okay, does softer or harder pick make a difference? What a great question. I'm so glad I jumped back into the chat here. Okay, so brilliant point. Let me see what the C camera is going to bring. There we go. All right, so the deal is, it brings my my plastic bag over there. That is not a Breaking bag filled with money, by the way. It's a really great question. The deal is, one of the things that Paul Gilbert talked about at one of his guitar camps was digging in further with the pick versus how you can back the pick off. So that sounds like this. I'm less of a fanatic about how much I'm digging in versus how hard I'm actually hitting the string. And the idea is to be able to go both. Soft and loud. Now that said, with distortion, a couple of things about the harder pick thing. I want to give a shout out to a guy named Bernth, who, if you aren't familiar with his work, he's great. And I actually signed up for his guitar lesson thing. And one of the things that he had talked about was right hand. And so one of the things I've been really trying to work on is get my right hand where I can have greater control and greater speed. It's a process. And it's just kind of, especially down on the bottom strings. But one of the things that he talked about, and one of the reasons I started giving him some of my money, was because when I'm over here in between the middle and neck pickup, harmonically, that is absolutely the sweetest spot. And to your question, harder, softer, choked up on the pick, medium hard, soft, harder. So what I'm going for, if you will, I'm on this camera, there we go. If I want my enunciation to be more like that, I'm going to dig in a little harder with the pick. I'm not going to do what Paul talked about. We're going further into the string, although that's one of the ways to get there. However, really what I'm really working on right now is kind of going, where exactly, first of all, this camera right here, we're talking about pick slant, because somebody's going to ask about it, so let me just go there. So the idea is we're going, and again, we're still in this key right here, key, relative to the key of C major. So if I start thinking about this A, B, C, D, E, F right there, and I start thinking about those notes, One of the things will be a problem is if you're parallel to the string like this with a pick and you go on the way over this down, up, down, you will clip that high E string, and you'll have to I apologize in advance. I'm going to be switching cameras and angles, and from time to time it's going to get a little dizzying. My apologies, but I want to be able to look you in the face while I talk about this. The idea is that pick slant is what makes it such that as you're crossing across those strings, as opposed to being parallel, you're not clipping that high E string on the way over to the B string. That is to say, again, we went down, up, down, and not clipping that on that upstroke at that C. That is to say, we're going to go down, up, down on F, E, D. So it means we're going to be on the far side of the high E string, going to the far side, if you will, of the B string. That is to say, yeah, that is, or I should say that we're going to end up on the treble side of the A string, and we're going to need to be picking from the treble side of the B string with an upstroke. So there, kind of what I'm really working on is getting. So I said, I'm not having to do this thing that I'm trying to get rid of in my playing, where I'm bringing that over like that, so I don't clip the high E string. So in the process of working on that pick slanting bed, on all these pairs of strings, I'm working on just kind of getting my technique such that regardless of what pair of strings I'm on, I'm going to do the down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down. And that, by the way, the reason it's good to do that where you're changing motion, if you will, get you used to changing direction like that. If you're just going, it's easy to fall into that, but then you go to change it up, you're like, whoa! So the idea, first of all, just starting. Each one of those hang out. I love foursies these days. And hanging out on each kind of pair of strings or each paired sequence 4 times, it's just a great way to kind of find out what reality is. But getting back to the bear thing, if you listen to this tone right here, hands down my favorite sounds on the guitar. Especially if I get really down with the volume control. Not that it doesn't sound good there, but it's much more vocal in that area. It sounds like somebody singing, which is one of the reasons I prefer it. The problem is, listen to just the pick noise there and there. And Barrett said something about that, and I went, all right, fine. And so I was like, okay, I've got to figure out how to do this. So after decades of playing over here, there are some things that I'm having to change about my motion to get this happening on each one of these pairs of strings, because if you think about the rotation of the right hand, for me, kind of what I try and do is a bit of this, where I am a left leg practicer, and the idea is if you kind of held your hands here together, that's where your right hand ideally would naturally be kind of playing. So after having been like, and mind you, with the V, you can, with your leg, relax this over here. Having been like this, now I'm kind of having to be like this. And the angle of the pick changes, and with the flying V, you can do stuff like this. You can elevate one leg more than the other. You can bring that leg, that's me bringing the left leg up or down. And then I can turn with this calf here, with the right foot, I can angle the body up. But kind of, there's, if you think about the angle of the pick and all of this stuff, the right hand, just the smallest amount of movement really changes the orientation. There you go. That's a good way to show it, of the right hand of the string. So it's just kind of, I'm really wanting to find a technique, and I'm close to it. And actively working on it every day for a couple of hours, of kind of like, how much pick slant do I need to have? So one of the things I want to be able to do is the minor pentatonic. And the other thing is working with tones where you don't have all that gain working with you, right? There's enough, but I'm really trying to, regardless of whether you've got a tone that's working a little bit against you, that's not a tone that necessarily you would normally go, oh, that's a great shred tone, right? Oh, let me, there's, it's got enough squawk that it's good, but it has a tendency to over-enunciate the pick noise is there, but that's a great tone to work on, that getting that stuff going. So the idea, getting that right level of pick slanting, that third one, the last one back, not that one, but the one before, dropped off. So I'm just worrying, like, I need to be able to hit all four of those consistently. I'm a work in progress, but the idea is that's where I'm really kind of going, okay, let me find that perfect slant such that I'm not clipping strings, and ideally so I can just kind of keep this one thing as opposed to kind of doing this thing where we're coming back. One of the ways you can avoid clipping that high E string, this guy right here, the high E string, is by going, and it's kind of, if you will, buttering the bread. You're leveling the hand out there, but since I can do this at a slower tempo with that angling of the pick rather than being parallel with to the strings like that, I'm really working. Working on getting that on all those different strings. And so, per the question about, hey, different exercise, this 3-note per string, and playing with a tone that you would normally, I got this, and I bring it down to this where I'm kind of starving it. That tone is a great tone to work with, to just kind of, because you got a lot of cluck out of the pick stroke. It's a great way to just kind of find a tone that's going to make you work a little extra hard to get things cleaned up. All right, went a little deeper than I'd initially planned, but There we go. Good morning, Brett. Great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. All right, getting caught up here. Awesome hand. Thank you so much. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Am I still okay. Great question. Thank you. That is why we have the comments here. All right, so let's talk about a range of things here. Gosh darn it. All right. So there are a couple of things that are happening here simultaneously. I'm really glad you asked that. One of the exercises, and I should probably do this once a month because there will be enough people that kind of come in and out. This exercise is going to change somebody's world today. So a lot of us have this problem. I'm going to still be using these notes over here. So I'm going to need to probably scoot just a little bit to my these directions with the camera reversed like this. All right. So we're still going to be using C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and D, E, F. So I could go, and that is what happens with somebody who's out there watching who knows exactly what I'm talking about. The deal is, when I'm playing on the sixth string, the fleshy part of my first finger is muting the fifth through first strings. When I'm playing on the fifth string, the tip of the first finger is muting the sixth string. Now, if I hit it, it might make a slightly unsavory sound, but if I don't hit it, it doesn't do anything. And the fleshy part of my first finger is muting, that is, say, the base of the first finger, what we're going to refer to as the fleshy part, this down here. Hold on. This little bit of business down here is muting. And the tip, again, is muting the sixth string. So the only string that's going to ring is going to be the fifth string. Then the same concept is true when I move over to the fourth string. The tip of the first finger is now muting the fifth string. The fleshy part is muting the treble strings. Same thing follows through. Now, as I move from the fifth string to the fourth string, that's where the right hand is now going to cover, in this instance, the sixth string. So that is to say, when I'm on the sixth string, I'm muting the upper strings with the base of the first string of the fleshy part. That's all six strings. When I move over to the fifth string, tip of the first finger mutes the fifth string, the fleshy part mutes the upper treble string. When I move over to the fourth string, my right hand is now muting, there we go. Come on, Doppler. There we go. The right hand is now muting the sixth string. So now, tip of the first finger is muting the fifth string, fleshy part the upper treble strings. Then my right hand advances to mute the sixth and fifth strings. The tip of the first finger is muting the fourth string. Right hand advances now. So literally, and I'm literally hitting all six strings. Now that, but we're not going, well, we're going, but that way those strings are silent. And that is how you kind of get all that gobbledygook silenced. So when I'm here, same thing. When I move up to the fifth string, when I'm on the fourth string, again, the right hand's muting the sixth string. Then when I move to the third string, the right hand just advances. So watch my right hand. So it's just moving across the strings like that, muting the unwanted bass strings in the process of that. It's a great question, and that is kind of always happening. I moved into the key of G for a minute. And that's kind of always happening. Even when I'm tapping. This fleshy part of the right hand, there. is down against the strings? Great question. Thank you so much for that. Okay. I'm a little, hold on, that's going to be small for some of us. I'm a little behind live, but thanks. I'll definitely be working on this. Recommended for over 4 note per string exercise. Hold on, definitely be working on this. Is there any recommendation over 4 note per string exercises too, or do it all? Good exercise example is Neil Sean runs between melodic parts with runs in between, or just know how to get that done? That's a really great question. I'm going to gently punt that. One of the things that's on my list is to start creating some jam tracks for this and for my students to be able to work on. And the best thing I can do is actually have a track that I can play against, such that we can talk about. Neil's one of my favorite players, by the way. But the idea is. So we're having something where we can kind of go, hey, these are the notes that I'm choosing against. And where we kind of play melodic. Kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. They're kind of on the third measure. Is a great place to kind of drop in some sort of little sequential lick. So I guess I'm going there. So let's imagine my chord progression: D minor, B flat major, G minor 7, C major. So right on that third measure, right, all right, so that little phrase right there, I'm basically taking the C, Mixolydian 3 note per string mode. And I'm just kind of walking up on that third measure, kind of playing melodically first time. That is say 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. And there I just kind of rolled through the third measure and the fourth measure. And there I just kind of kept rolling. So the idea, though, that third measure is a great place. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So the idea is finding some sort of sequence, whether it's that's coming down D minor pentatonic. And we're taking the second string. In groups of 3 notes, going from the second string to the fourth string. And that finishes in such a way we can land at the root. So again, that's kind of going. And that sets up for that D. I took it. It's kind of aiming for the root of that G minor 7. And part of what we talked a little bit about last week, and I'm jumping around a little bit, but it happens, because these ideas, in many ways, there's a common thread that we're going to get to in just a moment, but then there's a way that kind of they happen randomly, but not. That is, say, that little sequence. When we're soloing with the minor pentatonic, we want to be outlining those chords. So of that B flat major, so that's going to be a B flat D F. So there's my D and my B, F. Those, that'll say, let's say I reduce this chord progression down to the D minor. Technically, I'm playing an F over B flat. But that could just be a B flat major. So that B flat. All right. So the notes of that chord are B flat, D, and an F. So there's my. As we think about the minor pentatonic, there's D, F, G, A, C, D. So of that B flat, D, and the F, the D and the F, the D and the F are the notes in the D minor pentatonic that are in this chord. So that means that in addition to those being notes that are in this D, F, A, we got a B flat, D, F. So the D and the F notes, sorry, let me do that in English. This chord, D minor, is made up of D, F, and A. And out of the D minor pentatonic, that's the first and second notes of the minor pentatonic, and the fourth note of the minor pentatonic. So all those notes over this chord sound great. Now when we go to this chord, the B flat is not in there, but the D and the F still are. So I went out on the minor pentatonic there, but I went to the 3 of that C major, the idea is to stay in the minor pentatonic. So of that chord there, that D minor chord, I've got D. So I can hit those notes. So I'm going to basically with my left hand. You can see the minor pentatonic there, and you can see these notes right here. Those are the chord tones of that chord. Then we go here. Those notes right there are the chord tones that work out of. So you can end your phrases on over this guy. And those notes work. That note and that note works. So that's the D and the F. And so, and that D, that G minor 7, that's going to be a G, B flat, and a D. And so the G, the G and the D work. And then over this guy, that's going to be a C. Is going to be in there. So there's our C, and then the E and the G, and the E is not in there, but the G is. So the C and the G. See if I can get this. So I'm going to resolve to. So this guy. All right, hold on. Right. So for the G chord, I've only got the G and the And for the C chord, I've got the G. Right, for the G chord, I got the G and the D, and we're gonna ignore the flat 7 there. Right, so you've only got the G. And then for the C, you got the G and the C. So. Sorry, I got the D and the F. So in English, what I was basically doing was taking the chord tones from those chords and figuring out what fit in the D minor pentatonic. And the idea is eventually you kind of get comfortable enough knowing what the notes are in the chords to be able to kind of hear them and feel them and recognize what they are. I'm a work in process on this, but this is one of the areas that I'm actively working per the back side of this board, which is working on the triads. And we talked a little bit about this last week. I'm basically looking at the C, E, G, C, E, G, D, F, A, D, F, sorry, D, F, A, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, F, A, C, G, B, D, G, B, D, A, C, E, A, C, E, G, B, D, G, B, D, E, A, C, E, A, C, E, B, D, F, B, D, F, C, E, G, C, E, G. So that is, say, learning to be able to go C, E, G, E, G, C, G, C, G, C, E, G, G, E, C, E, C, G, C, G, E, G, E, C, and be able to walk through basically root position 1, 3, 5, C, E, G, first inversion, E, G, C, 3, 5, 1, second inversion, G, C, E, which is 5, 1, 3, and then back to root position C, E, G. Then being able to do that backwards. So let me do it by numbers and then note names. So that's going to be 1, 3, 5, 3, 5, 1, 5, 1, 3, 1, 3, 5, 5, 3, 1, 3, 1, 5, 1, 5, 3, 5, 3, 1. And you're going C, E, G, E, G, C, G, C, E, C, E, G, G, E, C, E, C, G, C, G, E, G, E, C. And being able to get liquid with that is really important. Because that allows you, when you're playing this chord, you're going to know that, all right, that's D, F, A, B flat, D, F, G, B flat, D, but we can also, because I'm playing a minor 7, and that's C, E, G. And being able to recognize those note names, the ability to identify them by notes, and then begin to identify by pitch and be able to go, I know what note I'm looking for. So I'm going to aim for that C on the last note of the soloing sequence. So that's outlining. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to outline the bass notes of the chord. So I'm basically going to outline D, B flat, G, and C. And I'm going to be moving outside of the D minor pentatonic. I'm going to be in the key of D minor, whose notes are D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D. Right. So, let me try that again. So I have flat 3. You can begin to hear the chords going by as I'm playing through the solo there. And then you start playing longer sequences, but you kind of have an idea of harmonically where you're going to... So I'm kind of, by textbook, going, I'm going to land on the B flat of that chord. Now there, I can hear that's the 5 of that B flat chord. So after a while, you just kind of go, I know what that is, because you spend enough time kind of going, all right, B flat, D, F, all right. And the idea is if I land on that B flat every time, at first it sounds nice, but if you do it every time, people are like, and you start digging it with your own playing. Sorry. So I was like, hey, you know what? I can play the 5. Now there I kind of did something, a melodic motif, where I walked up and I went back to that B flat, but because I kind of went, walked up and then walked out, it wasn't the same. That's actually, if you put, now, any of this stuff, if you play it like it's a melody, you will play more melodically because we're focusing on more melodic sound. All right, that was a rabbit trail, but hopefully well worth it. More caffeine. Totally the opposite of what I had in mind for today, and I love that. Thank you for the privilege. All right. That should give you some stuff to work on. Excuse me. Again, the big takeaways are, if you're just soloing with the minor pentatonic, what's great about the minor pentatonic? Groups of 3 notes, 4s. That's 4s. That's pairs of strings. And then just kind of doing it across different string sets, if you will. But the idea is that the sequence part are the ways we kind of add the faster run. So that is to say, when you think about a faster run, it's almost never string straight up the scale. It's usually some sort of sequential run. Groups of 3s. Or I like to, it's a little pedal tone. Those 6s. That was kind of walking me 6s and groups of 3 played. Even though I'm going down and up, it's technically 12. I'm thinking that is 6 notes, descending or ascending. What's kind of neat about that is you get the drama of having the larger range notes. But then when you kind of work on one string, kind of allows you to just kind of have the you're not working on pairs of strings, which has more melodic range to it. That is to say, when you play faster on one string, something about it in some ways you hear the notes a little bit in the ear, even though it's going by fast. You can get, oh, I hear 3 notes. I don't necessarily know that you would recognize, hey, that's 6 notes sequentially, right? All right. Okay. Hello, Steve. If you're still here, hello, hello, hello. Tony, always a pleasure, my dear friend. Okay. John Mello, my dear friend, hello. Well, I seem to have missed you. I hope you had a great day. Eric, great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning to you. All right, David, what's happening? Coffee in one hand, guitar in the other. I love that. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Waiting for the tubes to warm up. I'm glad Brett isn't here. He really slows. He's less down. He was here. I saw him a minute ago. Spencer, the best thing about this Super Bowl will be my wings and the old lady's deviled eggs. Boy, I'm going to stay away from that one for right now. Albert, what's going on, my man? Great to see you. Chris, so the VP4 is my unit of choice. Now, we're going to be adding this to some rigs, like, you know, so there is going to be some sort of rig focus thing that's going to be happening every week. And the VP4 is kind of my favorite unit in the Fractal family because it's got all their great effects. But if you've got a favorite set of tube amplifiers, you don't need that modeling. So it means that it kind of allows you to kind of scale down both in price and in terms of how much stuff you've got in there. Because one of the things about this, that delay there, it's got the treble pulled off. I am coming through that microphone's in frame. No, get out of there. That is kind of one of my pet peeves, and I apologize if I'm making some weird sound in somebody's ear. But the idea, as I'm playing, it's in the background. Because the top end's pulled off. Hold on, let me pull the guitar out. There you go. So it means I can, and I want a little tiny bit, probably less, but means I can play and it's not in the way of my transients. That little bit of business is going on there. Okay. Hans, what's going on? There we go, talking about the headroom. What I love about this amplifier, and like I said a little earlier in the show, so I'm so glad you asked that. I actually have the lead sound right now set on the 10 watt setting, and I actually did a little mini set at the beginning of NAMM at the worship musician / collectible guitar pre-NAMM hang, and I actually had the amp on 10 watts, slightly unbeknownst to me, but the idea of being able to manipulate the headroom to kind of get to have things a little bit greasier at a lower volume. And you know, per that comment, before we jump into the note thing up and down the neck, if you think about headroom, or lack thereof, as the amount of grease, I really am trying to go for this slightly greasy sound that when I want to get, I still have enough articulation with the right hand to be able to get that to come through. But to get an extreme amount of headroom and have the notes still be greasy, the creaminess quite frequently happens from the power amp kind of starting to give up the ghost. And even if you back off on the volume control, so that's something that I'm really trying to go for, is like, hey, when I go to set an amplifier, what is the vibe that I'm going for? What are the extremes I'm going for? But that milkiness and the creaminess that's the sound of the power amp just kind of going, hey, you know what, I'm kind of breaking up a little bit, and I'm okay with that. And it's a matter of finding you know, if you need a, you know, super tight, you know, kind of that's flubbier. I could go here and tighten that up. First of all, I would pull it out of 10-watt mode. But for my vibe, sorry, I didn't mention that before. I'm also looking for enough compression to sustain. I can jump between those different things. And I'm not kind of looking back at the amp going, gosh, what do I need to turn, right? So it's a matter of just kind of going, okay, you know, it's a funny thing. It's almost not like not looking at the controls and just kind of going, where do I want a little bit more body? Where do I want a little less top end? The other thing about boogies is that the treble control on Mark series amps, to turn that up is where a lot of the gain comes from. So there's kind of a certain tone sequence when each one of these kind of amp families, as I look around at Marshalls and Wizards and Randalls and Fenders and Boogies and whatnot, and more Boogies, there are certain ways you manipulate these circuits that as you get to know them, you kind of get to know them. Great question. Cali Fortune, I'm actually down in Sunnyvale, just a mile from the stadium. It would be a bit crazy, but we survived 10 years ago. Way to go. Come on. All right. You're right, VP4. So the VP4, I think, is great. And there will be more attention paid to that very soon. Thank you, my dear friend Chris. Just recently started selling Boogie in Europe again. They are fantastic. And by the way, Hans, great to see you, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to be, I kind of get in the chat here and sometimes I'm like, let's get right down to work here. Hello, my dear friend. Great to see you. And yes, Boogie is back in Europe. And this amp, the Mark 525 is no longer officially in production, but it's such a great amp. All right, now let me get to the main teaching point of the day. And this is for whoever is still in the room. No, we're going to do this. I'm going to do this. All right, so this is going to be, I'm always kind of trying to find, here we go. See if I can, nope, I'm just going to, all right, so I'm always trying to find kind of the next breakthrough. And I want to focus on the word breakthrough. Breakthrough is what I'm always looking to have happen. And something we're all looking for it to have it happen. The funny thing is, I hear it mentioned so little in the art of kind of, you know, teaching and education and practice. So I really want you to be focused on what do you need to do to find your breakthrough. So this is designed to help a bunch of people have a massive breakthrough. How many people in the room right now? 27 people. Holy cow! Hello. Thank you. Here we go. So here's the deal. This is going to change 90% of your perspective on how to use the modes, what the modes are, and how to elicit the sound of the modes with 7 very simple notes. So one of the big things that I'm really focused on, and it kind of went along with this little bit of business here as well, it's like, what if when we'd first been shown the modes, instead of getting a fingering, we actually got the flippin' note names? We're like, okay. And right next to that had been the fingering, such that we can kind of get a chance to go, oh, I see what the fingering is, and I see why it's shaped the way it is. I'm playing the notes of C major. That's great. So, and Brad, thank you for your comment last weekend about like, hey, the headstock was obscuring the things. I try to be teachable and always be listening. What we're going to do here is we're going to talk about what the modes actually are. If I took the key of C major, and it's basically C, hold a D, hold a E, half to F, hold a G, hold a A, hold a B, half to C, and we map that on the second string, as in C, hold a D, hold a E, half to F, hold a G, hold a A, hold a B, half to C, C, half to B, hold a A, hold a G, hold a F, half to E, hold a D, hold a C. The most important thing I want you to keep in mind is that half step between E and F and B and C, and I probably suggest writing this down. E and F and B and C. Besides E and F and B and C, all of their natural adjacent notes, that is, say, no sharps or flats, that are next door to each other, like C and D, D and E, F and G, G and A and B, those are a whole step apart, which means as we navigate the key of C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Again, in musical alphabet, you go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C, hold the D, hold the E, half to F, hold the G, hold the A, hold the B, half to C. C, half to B, hold the A, hold the G, hold the F, half to E, hold the D, hold the C. So the deal is, if you can just remember, when I get to E and F, and B and C, or C and B, and F and E, those are the half steps. Every other pair of notes is a whole step, which means if we start at C, it's going to go like that. Now, I'm so excited about what I'm about to do here. Sorry, I didn't mean to play the B there. So that's just going C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. So for the U part, I would strongly suggest, again, first of all, thinking about which 2 sets of notes, E and F and B and C, and have that written down. The deal is, I would suggest on the second string finding E and F and B and C and B and F and E, and just kind of going, got it. And then begin to go, all right, C, D, D, E, E, F, F, G, G, A, B, B, C, C, D. We're going to go to the octave. D, C, C, B, B, A, G, F, F, E. Sorry, G, F, F, E, E, D, D, C. All right, so collectively that gives us C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now we can do a couple of things per the initial request about building speed. If we took this and we thought about it in groups of 3 notes, we would have C, D, E, D, E, F, E, F, G, F, G, A, G, A, B, A, B, C, B, C, D, and C, D, E. E, D, C, D, C, B, C, B, A, B, A, G, G, F, E, sorry, A, F, A, G, F, gosh darn, I gotta get my B, A, G, F, G, F, E, F, E, D, E, D, C. But if you played each one of those sequences 2 times, that gives you the ability to begin to march through these guys and have some fun with it. You can all, and you're playing it by the note by recognize where those notes are on the neck, which means we're thinking about that C major scale in a completely different way than we normally do. It means we're just cruising up and down the neck because we know we're C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, going to move over to D. Gosh darn it, now we're going D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. What we're doing is we're starting the C major scale on the second note, and gosh darn it, that's how we're creating the D Dorian mode. Now, the neat thing about this is if we start at C, we just run an octave. That allows us to hear the sound of the C major scale. If we start at the D note, that allows allows us to hear the sound of the D Dorian mode. And so the deal is D, hold the E, half to F, hold the G, hold the A, hold the B, half to C, hold the D, D, hold the C, half to B, hold the A, hold the G, hold the F, half to E, hold the D. So again, we still got our half steps between E and F, and our B and C and B, and F and E. So I would suggest really going, all right, E and F, B and C and B, F and E. And then going, all right, D, E, E, F, F, G, G, A, B, B, C, D, and the octave D, E, E, D, D, C, B, B, A, G, G, F, E, E, D. And then in turn, you can also, this is a great way to really hear the get a chance to get familiar with the sound of the D Dorian mode. So I played and what I had played a B flat instead of a B. So I'm just playing in thirds there. So you're getting comfortable. I D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And it took a minute to combine open string still taking me a minute to combine open strings and fretted notes. So I'm going D, E, F 2 times, and then E, F, G, then G, F, E, F, E, D. And just kind of getting used to kind of going between that open string. So the idea is that took us from the sound of C majors to the sound of D Dorian. So the next note in the key of C is going to be E, which means we're now playing the E Phrygian mode. And again, looking for the E's and the F's, and the B's and the C's, C and B, F and E, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E. Again, putting that in groups of threes. And that just allows us to, again, be able to, let's just recap, the sound of C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, the sound of D Dorian, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, G, F, D, F, E, D, E Phrygian, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E. We're going to just jump up a fret and get to F Lydian, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, G mixed Lydian, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, A minor, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, B, Locrian, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B. Back to C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So basically, it gives you a strategy just to kind of be able to go, hey, and then we go in front of that again, to be able to go, if I want to get the sound of each of the modes, I can just go, well, let me just start on one of those notes and just kind of go, all right, well, and again, I should probably have written the mode names: major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, minor, Locrian, major. And so C major, just goes up and down an octave from C to C. D Dorian goes up and down an octave using the same 7 notes from D to D. Using the open D string. E Phrygian, same concept. From E to E. We just jump up to the first fret there and go from F to F. Open G string, G to G. Open A string. Open B string. And then starting from, again, that first fret on the second string. Normally we would have gone, but instead of doing that, sorry, we're going to go, and then we're going to go, and then we're going to go. So I would suggest doing that, calling out the note names: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, 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 back to C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So with the exception of C major and F Lydian, you get an open string to work with. And the point is, most people think of the modes as a fingering. They don't actually think of it as the sound. So let's just take Locrian as an example. The one that people are like, hey, you know, I probably have the least use for that. Locrian actually, it's one of my favorite sounding modes. The great thing is you begin to think about it, that's just C major started off of its B node. So it means if we can find B, C, D, and E, F, G, and A, B, C, we're off to the races. And that, by the way, is where the flippin' B Locrian fingering comes from. That's why it's fingered the way it is. All right, I saw something float in there, so let me get on top of this real quick. Okay. Green sleeves was Doran. Okay. Eric Martin, what's going on, my man? Hello, Philip. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, good. Tony, what's going on? All right, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. All right. And so what's neat about this is, first of all, we just want to get used to the sound of the modes. We're just going to take these 7 notes and start off of, again, for C, we're going to use, for C major, it's going to be here. And I would, again, initially just start calling out the note names: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And then probably spend some time first of all, simply groups of 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm actually starting at the and of 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and, sorry, I played a B flat. 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so the idea, and just spend some time doing that. Now, one of the exercises that I ran through was these little triplety guys. And for those of you who kind of want to go next layer with this, we're just basically playing each pair of notes. That's C and D, D and E, E and F, F and G, G and A and B, B and C, and then the octave, C and D, C and D, B and C, A and B, G and A, F and G, E and F, D and E, and C and D. So you can just think of your starting notes as C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. What's neat about that is it really just allows you to hear the sound of that C major scale. And you do the same thing starting at D. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D. And that's D and E and F, F and G, G and A and B and C, C and D, D and E. D and E, C and D, B and C, A and B, G and A, F and G, E and F, and D and E. Calling out D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D. So it gets you really used to going, all right, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D. But also gets you used to hearing the sound. Sorry, I put accidentally. And you use the sound. Add a little delay. And if you then go, all right, let's get to E Phrygian. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, E, F, F and G, G and A and B, B and C, C and D, D and E, E and F, so on and so forth. I promise you, if you kind of go from C to D. Oh, come on, Doug. To E. To F. To G. To A. To B. You're really going to hear the sound. You're going to hear the sound of those modes. And so by hanging out on each one of those, whether you're pedaling. So let's go back to Locrian. Play an F sharp. Allows you to really tap into the sound. You can hear that sound of that flat five. And just kind of get the sound of each of those modes and really kind of go, oh, that's what it sounds like. Because much of the time we just approach them as a fingering, and we don't have a harmonic basis of which to look at this. All right, Locrian is not a man's language. So the funny thing is first of all, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go between E Phrygian and E Locrian. So the difference is we're going. So first of all, if you start C major of its third note and kind of hang out there. you end up with E Phrygian. And if you take that B, oh, we're going to have a little bit of fun here. All right, if we think about the E Phrygian mode, and that's why I wish we'd had, excuse me, an open C string. Holy cow. An open C string and open B string, it would make all of this easier. But as I go between, if you just look at the frets of E Phrygian and B Locrian, you're going to see they kind of go like this. Which means if I wanted to switch from E Phrygian to E Locrian, I would take the fret numbers I played for B Locrian and play it at E. So here's Phrygian and Locrian. So what basically I'm going from E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E for E Phrygian. And for E Locrian, it's E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, E, D, C, B flat, A, G, F, E. So we're going to swap out that B for a B flat. So every time we encounter a B, we turn into a B flat. There's a B. There's a B flat. There's a B. So there's my B flat. I played a B natural instead of a B flat. Locrian is actually cool. Great sounding mode. Just all the natural notes, swapping out the B for a B flat. That opens up a very different way of looking at the neck. All right. Jim, what is a good example of Locrian? Okay, there we go. We were the Olga Boat song, perhaps. I don't know the Olga Boat song. So technically, that's kind of like a Dorianized pentatonic. The flat five. Not really Locrian, but you could certainly think of that as Locrian. All right. So first of all, I have a lesson that starts in 2 minutes. So let me encapsulate all of that. The idea is if you wanted to get the sound of each of these modes, starting off the C note, starting at the first fret on the second string. And just initially I would strongly suggest going, hey, all right, it's going to be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I want to find where my E's and F's and B's and C's are. There's my E and F. and my B and C, and on the way back down, C and B, F and E. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Turn the light off, and you can literally... Then we're going to do the same thing starting at D. And again, we're looking for our E and F, and our B and C, C and B, F and E, and then we got D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D. And again, we're taking each pair, if I play it right. And just kind of getting used to hearing that thing broken down into pairs of notes. But keeping in mind, that's D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D. Then pairs. D, E, E, F, F, G, G, A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, D, D, C, C, B, B, A, G, G, F, F, E, E, D. And you really do hear the sound. Then that was D Dorian, now E Phrygian. So again, that's starting the G. This is C major scale off its third degree, which is E, E, F, F, G, G, A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, F, F, E, E, D, D, C, C, B, B, A, G, G, F, F, E. And so on and so forth for C there. Open D string, open E string, F on the high E string, open G string, open A string, and open B string. And that will collectively give you C major, D Dorian, E Phrygian, F Lydian, G Mixolydian, A minor, and B Locrian, and back to C major. And we're using C there at the first fret on the second string, and F there at the first fret on the first string, because we don't have an open C string or an open F string. But the idea is to start as low on the neck as possible, and then just getting used to being able to do it. And the great thing about being able to use a pedal tone, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, in our last moments here, there we go. Come on. Well, I'm going to give you a taste now, my friend. There we go. And thank you, Jim. So the deal is, if instead of, so a moment ago, I kind of switched between E Phrygian, which was taking the notes of C major off of its B note, E Phrygian, starting off the C major scale off its E notes, third degree Phrygian. That's going to be E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and B Locrian. That's starting the major scale off of its seventh degree. In this case, relative to C major, it's going to be B Locrian, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And if I took basically these frets and played them at one spot, here's Phrygian, and here's the jumped up a string. So I transposed B Locrian to E Locrian. If I did the same thing for all those modes, here's E major. E Dorian. E Phrygian. E Lydian. E Mixolydian. E minor, E Locrian, and that just kind of gets you used to hearing them over a common root. Now, the reason I opted not to do that today, and kind of why I wanted to go from C major, so I'm not playing a B flat, come on, really allows you to hear the sound of that C major scale. If I start that same group of 7 notes from the D note, you can really hear the sound of D Dorian. And the same thing for E Phrygian. and F Lydian. G mixed Lydian. A minor. B local. Back to C major. And kind of the way I kind of finished all of those was I basically went from the 7th note to the octave to the 2nd note up an octave. Back to 1. That really allows you to hear. Starting off D. Kind of allows your ear to kind of zero in on. I played a B flat. You can hear the sound of that Dorian mode, this Phrygian mode, this Lydian mode, this mixed Lydian mode, minor, and Locrian. And really just gives you a great way to just kind of motor up and down. Again, you can do groups of kind of 2 notes with a triplet E. Oh, come on, hold on. And that's just kind of C, D, C, D, E, D. And I would suggest calling out the lowest note like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Initially looking C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Then not looking C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And means that as you're playing, you really begin to know what notes you're actually playing. That's a huge help, since instead of just playing a shape, you're actually going, right, that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. All right, let me just jump back in here. All right, we have about half a second for another question before I need to jet. I hope, first of all, this has been helpful. And again, let me be really clear. The number one goal I wanted to do for you was give you the ability to start off of each of these notes of the C major scale. And in so doing, easily know the D Dorian mode by just starting the C major scale off of its 2nd note. And in turn, being able to identify, hey, right, I've still got E and F, and I still got B and C. That allows me to track that up and down the neck. Okay. And that allows you to get comfortable with not the D Dorian fingering, but the sound of the D Dorian mode, and getting comfortable with just kind of going, oh, okay. I can see why, as it relates to this key, if I start the C major scale off of its 2nd degree, D, that gives me the D Dorian mode, and more importantly, I can hear the sound of it because I'm now focusing on that D note. And it allows you to really kind of get a sense of the harmonic nature of each of these modes. All right. I wish you a great week. I will see you next week. I thank you for hanging out on Doppler'S Gear Garage. And do me a favor, next time, if you got any questions about this, and one of the great things that happened today that I absolutely love is there were a bunch of questions that allowed me to go someplace that I would not have gone. That is what I love, because we're having a conversation about this stuff. And it means that the stuff that is rattling around in your head gives us a chance to have that global conversation, because chances are the question you asked, or more importantly, dare I say, the question you didn't ask, would be something that allows us to have a conversation about something that will benefit all of us. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you next Saturday on Doppler'S Gear Garage. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.